What you need to know about SD cards. I'm Hewie Poplock. An SD card is a small, portable memory storage device used in digital devices such as cameras, smartphones, tablets, and more. It provides a convenient way to store and transfer data such as photos, videos, music, documents, and other files. SD cards come in various sizes and capacities, and they use flash memory technology to store data. They are compatible with a wide range of devices and can be easily removed and replaced. SD cards are also available in different types, such as SD, SDHC, and SDXC, each with a different capacity limit. Additionally, SD cards can be protected by a password or encrypted for increased security. An SD card, short for Secure Digital Card, is a type of small, portable memory card that is commonly used in digital cameras, smartphones, and other electronic devices to store data such as photos, videos, music, and documents. SD cards are available in a variety of capacities, ranging from a few gigabytes to several terabytes. They are also available in different physical sizes, including standard SD, mini SD, and micro SD. SD cards use flash memory technology, which allows them to retain data even when the power is turned off. They also have built-in security features to protect against unauthorized access and data corruption. SD cards are the most common memory card type used in digital cameras. Having been around for more than 20 years, this type of camera memory card is readily available, relatively cheap, and capable of performing well enough in cameras designated for beginners right through to professional users. There are several factors to consider when comparing SD cards, including capacity, speed, and durability. By capacity, that refers to the amount of storage space on the card, measured in gigabytes. Higher capacity cards can store more data, but they also tend to be more expensive. Speed is another important factor to consider. SD cards have different speed class ratings, such as Class 4 or Class 10, which indicate the minimum write speed of the card. A higher speed class rating means the card can write data faster, which is important for things like recording high-definition video. Durability is another important consideration. SD cards can be susceptible to damage from water, heat, and other environmental factors. Some cards are designed to be more durable than others, with features like waterproofing and shock resistance. Overall, the choice of SD card will depend on the specific needs of the user. If you need a higher capacity, fast, and durable card, you may want to consider a high-end SD card with a high-speed class rating and durability features. Here are the various values on an SD card. The speed of an SD card is determined by a number of factors, including the technology used in the card, the capacity of the card, and the SD card speed class. The SD card speed class is a rating system that indicates the minimum guaranteed write speed of the card. The speed classes are 2, 4, 6, and 10. UHS 1 Speed Class 1, UHS 1 Speed Class 3, and UHS 2 Speed Class 1 and 3. The read speed of an SD card is usually much faster than the write speed. A card with a high read speed would be good for transferring large files quickly, while a card with a high write speed would be good for recording video or taking a lot of photos in quick succession. Although the physical size and shape of the SD card have not changed since its launch in 1999, the format internal specifications have gone through several iterations. Flash memory technology has also evolved, delivering improved reliability and significantly increased speeds. The improvements are welcome, but it has created a problem. The continuous evolution of SD card standards has given birth to a host of symbols and classes used to describe the type of SD card and its speed. It's not uncommon to find an SD card marked with 6 or 7 different symbols, making it difficult for people to understand precisely what they are buying. I'm trying to demystify these symbols and ensure you know what you're buying and whether it's suitable for your camera or whatever device you're using. Some memory card manufacturers quote SD card speed in megabytes per second, while others, such as Lexar, prefer to quote a speed factor like 1000x. This is confusing for the consumer because it makes it harder to compare SD card speeds between the two brands. The speed factor naming scheme is a hangover from the days of CD-ROM drives, where the standard drive read CDs at 150 kilobytes per second. Therefore, 1x is equal to 150 kilobytes per second, and 1000x is equal to 150 megabytes per second. Isn't that ridiculous? In an era where some photographers are of an age where they won't even know what a CD-ROM drive is, a few brands use their speed to gauge modern flash memory speeds. This idiotic practice of quoting SD card speeds based on speeds of CD-ROM drives appears to have stopped with the advent of CF Express cards. An SD card class is simply a way to define the minimum continuous write speed of the card. This is not a maximum peak speed, but an actual minimum continuous write speed that any device, camera or not, can count on having available with any SD card. This minimum continuous write speed is critical because if your camera shoots 4K or 8K video, you need to use a card at the very least delivers a minimum continuous write speed fast enough to record those formats. The complication is that the SD Card Association has changed how they represent sustained minimum write speed 3 times. They started calling cards Class 2, Class 6, or Class 10, by which they meant that they were capable of a minimum sustained write speed of 2 megabytes per second, 6 megabytes per second, or 10 megabytes per second. Then they decided that this was too many letters to write on the SD card, so they changed it to use the USD card class standard, and things took the form of a U1 and U3. In these examples, U1 corresponds to a minimum sustained speed of 10 megabytes per second, and U3 is 30 megabytes per second. Essentially, divide by 10 and stick a U in front of it. While I agree that writing U1 on a card is easier than writing Class 10, both have the same 10 megabytes per second specification, the problem is that SD card manufacturers just started to put them both on the card. In their eyes, the more symbols on a card equals better. Unfortunately, it even gets dumber because we now see the card manufacturers putting completely extraneous symbols on SD cards. For example, they all carry the C10 Class 10 symbol and the U3 symbol. U3 guarantees a minimum write speed of 30 megabytes per second, and the C10 guarantees 10 megabytes per second. Naturally, you cannot reach U3 standards without it also delivering C10 standards. It's common sense. But card manufacturers insist on adding the extra symbol for fear that a competitor's card might look better if it were to carry the symbol, whether their card did not. If you thought this couldn't get worse, you're wrong. To confuse the issue even more, the U standard was swapped for the V standard. Now we have V30, V60, and V90 SD cards that guarantee a minimum sustained write speeds, you guessed it, 30 megabytes per second, 60 megabytes per second, and 90 megabytes per second. And sure enough, these symbols are stuck onto the cards alongside all of the other ones. The result is a cluttered mess that is confusing for consumers. So let's simplify things. Here's a chart that helps you. If a card carries a V30, a V60, or V90 symbol, this is the only speed-related symbol you need to pay attention to. All of the U classes and Class 10 nonsense are meaningless. Any card with a V30, a V60, or V90 class will automatically pass all of the other SD card class standards below it. These days, following this simple guide will allow you to determine the relative speeds of 95% of the SD cards on the market. And it's more likely the manufacturer of your camera will have specified a minimum write speed in the manual or online specifications of either V30, V60, or V90. Another SD card performance indicator is whether the card uses the UHS, the ultra high speed bus, 1 or 2 configuration. The UHS-1 cards are limited to a theoretical maximum speed of 104 megabytes per second and are cheaper to manufacture. The UHS-2 SD cards are faster and theoretically capable of reaching speeds of up to 312 megabytes per second. And you'll see the example, the UHS-1 card is on the left and the UHS-2 card is on the right. There are two ways to distinguish between the UHS-1 and UHS-2 SD cards. Firstly, the card will either have "and" or "all" marked on the front. Usually this symbol will be marked alongside the type of SD card. For example, it might say SDHC2 or SDXC1. Secondly, unlike the other SD card performance differentiators, such as U or V speed class, there is also a physical difference between the UH1 and UH2. Looking at the back of the SD card, a UH1 card will have a single row of metal contacts, whereas a UHS2 card will have 2 rows. Let's go back one slide to see that, so you can visualize that. And here is a chart of the UHS speed classes for SD cards and their minimum write speeds. These are minimum speeds, and actual performance can vary depending upon factors such as the specific card and the device it's being used in. Also, keep in mind that the UHS-2 cards are backward compatible with the UHS-1 devices, but they will operate at the lower UHS-1 speeds and require a UHS-2 compatible device to take advantage of their higher speeds. There is a certain amount of backward compatibility between the UHS-1 and UHS-2. You can use either card type in any camera or SD card reader that accepts an SD card. The critical thing to understand is that both the devices and the SD card must be UHS-2 compatible if you want to unlock the additional speed benefits of the UHS-2 interface. If you put a faster and more expensive UHS-2 SD card into a camera or card reader that is only rated for UHS-1, the card will be limited to the UHS-1 speed of 104 megabytes per second. Or if you use a cheaper UHS-1 SD card and a more expensive UHS-2 card reader, your photos will still download at the slower speed delivered by UHS-1. If your camera is only rated to UHS-1, you might not see the in-camera speed benefits of buying a more expensive UHS-2 SD card. However, it may be a worthwhile investment if you want to speed up your image ingestion and editing workflow. After a long day of shooting to a high-capacity SD card, such as 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes, or even 512 gigabytes, having a UHS-2 card and card reader still save you upwards of 20 to 30 minutes of downloading time. Another point of confusion that often arises while discussing or researching memory card or hard drive speeds is the bits and bytes. Capital M, capital B per second means megabytes per second. Capital M, small b / s means megabits per second. Sometimes these are also written as capital M, capital B, PS, and capital M, small b, PS, to confuse things even further. The SD, SDHC, SDXC, and SDUC, and their sizes. As you can see in the last slide, from a consumer standpoint, the primary difference between SD, SDHC, SDXC, and SDUC cards is the potential capacity. Although we call all of these cards SD cards, it's scarce to see an SD card on the market anymore. Technically, they died out more than a decade ago. Most of the time, you see SDHC cards if it has a capacity below 64 gigabytes, or SDXC cards if they have a capacity above 64 gigabytes. As for SDUC, although the standard exists, you probably have never seen one for sale, so it's safe to ignore that type of SD card for now. Plain old SD cards aren't sold anymore, and you are likely not to see an SDUC card either, which means that most cameras that have been built since 2010, and indeed all cameras made since around 2015, have SD card slots that'll work just fine with the two types of SD cards you'll find in the store shelves, SDHC and SDXC. In the end, out of all the little symbols that are stamped on an SD card, this one perhaps is the least important. Just get the SD card capacity that's right for you and double check that your camera will support it. The answer will then be yes for 99.9% of you. Micro SD cards are much smaller than SD cards, but you can use them in place of an SD card when combined with a micro SD to SD card adapter. These adapters look like regular SD card, but they have a tiny slot in them which you can insert the micro SD card. These adapters are cheap and readily available at most electronics retailers. In some cases, they're included with the micro SD card. Here's the identifying pieces of the SD card. Here's the speed classes, the UHS speed class, and the recommended speeds. Here's some of my SD cards. And I have an SD card holder that holds both the micro SD card and a regular size SD card, or their adapters. These are SD card readers in a computer. They could be a micro SD card or a regular SD card. This is an SD card reader if you don't have an SD slot in your computer. So this has been what you need to know about SD cards. I'm Hewie Poplock. More information you'd ever thought you'd ever hear about an SD card. It's confusing, but in the long run, there's only a few things you need to know. So if you need to go back and revisit this, please do so. Feel free to, because there's so much information about SD cards that we never knew. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is, let me go ahead and share my screen. Website of the week, number 18. I'm Hewie Poplock. Photofunia. Photofunia is a cloud-based photo editing tool that gives you a fun-filled experience. Take any photo and just wait to see the magic. Their proprietary Technology automatically identifies the face in the photo and lets you add cool photo effects and create funny face photo montages. Photofunia is free and is very easy to use. Just select an effect that you like from over 650 effects, select your photo, and Photofunia will handle the rest for you. Let's take a look on how to do it. This is Photofunia. There are lots of effects that you can choose from. A word of warning, however, on the website, there are lots of ads. Be careful what you click on. Some of them want to go. Besides the website, they do have some apps for iOS, Android, Windows, and Ubuntu Linux, but I prefer and recommend you use just the website. Let's take a look. Let's try a couple of examples. First of all, let's do billboards. Then we're going to go to popular, and then we're going to come down here and let's choose New York City billboards. Now you can choose the photos that you want to use. I have over on the side, I've already chosen several pictures, so that's where they're going to come from. I'm going to choose photo 1, Ron Master 1, and bring it over. We're going to crop it right there. We're going to go to choose photo 2, bring that one in. Put it over a little bit, crop it. Choose photo 3, file. And we're not going to do any cropping for it, but we're going to leave it just that size. And then at this point, I'm going to click on the orange Go. And that quickly, we have our finished product. And you click download. It's here. And if I open it, and that's what it's going to look like. Let's try another example. Let's go to celebrities. You can see there's lots of them there. And we're going to choose the Polaroid dress. We're going to choose a photo. Take this one, bring it in. We're going to crop it down a little bit. And tell it to go. There's our finished product. And we hit download. And this is what it looks like from our computer. And that is Photofunia. A lot of fun to play with. Nothing earth-shattering, but certainly something that you can make some interesting pictures and share and post and so on.
Hewie, I always told you we'd get our name in lights. And
absolutely. On Times Square. Times Square in New York. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, and I've got one more that I want to show, and it's about Notepad coming out with a tabbed version. And the only problem, and I didn't mention this in there because I didn't discover, somebody asked and I tried to find out the answer. It doesn't appear that it's going to work with Notepad and Windows 10. It's only going to be a Windows 11, at least in the beginning. And it's not on every machine. Right now you have to purposely download the update to Windows 11 in order to get the tabbed Notepad. But let's take a look. Not only am I going to talk about the tabbed information, but what Notepad is, in case you don't use it or know about it. So let me go ahead and Notepad goes tabbed. Introducing the latest enhancements, I'm Hewie Poplock. Microsoft has released a new version of the Windows Notepad with a new tabbed interface, allowing you to open multiple text files within one window. With the new tabbed interface, Microsoft has made Notepad a powerful tool that includes almost everything a regular user would need from a text editor. Notepad looks like this, with the title bar at the top and then a menu bar, the text area, and then at the bottom is the status bar. Now, we're going to compare the old menus with the new menus of Notepad. Here is the old one. You can see because of the tab, there is some additional items in the File menu. Now let's look at the Edit menu. Again, we see some differences. The main difference is at the bottom is the font. The font formerly was on the Format, and now it's on the Edit, and there is no more format choice. This is what the format had, was word wrap and font. Now we've already seen the font, but now if we go to the view, we'll see they've added the word wrap to that menu to eliminate one of the menu items. Also, the help menu is no longer there. It is now part of the settings, and the help is at the bottom. You have some additional settings that you can do right from the settings gear. If you want to open Notepad, you can do it from the search button at the bottom, or you can use your start menu. Or if you prefer, you can actually add it to your taskbar like I have right here at the bottom. With one click can open up Notepad. Microsoft Notepad is a simple text editor software that comes pre-installed with all versions of Microsoft Windows. It's a basic tool used for creating and editing text files, such as configuration files, HTML code, plain text documents. Notepad is an easy-to-use program that does not require any special skills or training to operate, making it a popular choice for beginners. The Microsoft Notepad is a simple text editor that comes pre-installed on Windows operating systems. It allows users to create and edit plain text files, including notes, code snippets, and other text-based content. Notepad is lightweight and is fast, making it a useful tool for quick note-taking and editing. Some of the basic features of Notepad include the ability to change the font and the font size, search for and replace text, and view and edit text files in different formats, including Unicode, UTF-8, and ANSI. Notepad also supports line and column numbering, as well as word wrap, which automatically wraps long lines of text so that they fit within the window. While Notepad is a very basic text editor and lacks many of the advanced features found in more powerful text editors, its simplicity makes it a popular choice for many users who need to quickly create and edit plain text files without the need for more advanced functionality. So let's use Notepad. I have a website that I wish to copy some of the information that's there, but I don't need a lot of the extras. I don't need the links and so on. So let's just highlight what I want to grab, and we'll come down to right here, and I'm going to then copy it, and then we're going to open up a file that we already have in Notepad. We're going to date stamp it, so we're going to put the time and the date, which is right now. Then I'm going to move down a couple of lines. Now I'm going to say paste it. And there is everything from that article that I highlighted stripped of all of its formatting. And there are times you want to do that. This was one. This is how I use it most of the time. Then you can go back in and you can edit some things out of here that you don't need, that were headlines or possibly a caption under a picture that you didn't want. Here's something we don't need again, and all of this. And then there was a bio of the article's author. And I can save it. What I can also do with this new version is I can have a tab. And so I can put something else in here and say reminders. And then I can add to this later and so on. So I can now save that. and it saved it to reminders.txt, and it's telling me where it's going to go. I'm going to say, okay, reminders right there, and it saved it. Now, the other thing that I can do with the tabbed items is I can actually drag it off, and it's now a separate file. So I can move it to my other screen. I can close the first one down and leave this open, whatever I want to do. And if I should want to return it to the tab, I can just move it here and it becomes a tab again. Notepad has been updated with a Windows 11 style design and dark mode support. It now supports tabs so you can view multiple notes in a single window. The new Notepad includes several standard rich editing enhancements such as Alt and X for re-entering Unicode characters, Control plus the right bracket for toggling between matching brackets and parentheses, multi-level undo, which is a great advancement, drag and drop, color emoji, and auto URL detection. This has been Notepad Goes Tabbed, introducing the latest enhancements. I'm Hewie Poplock. It's a big advancement, and if you don't use Notepad, I find it very handy just to jot just simple notes down and just save it. And sometimes if I want to, then I can copy and paste it into a Word document, or if, like I showed you, as far as a website, grab everything, make it all text, and then move it into, let's say, Word, and then I can highlight my own things. I can take away the different colorings that they have for different words or parts of sentences and so on. It just makes it easy to convert it.
If you already have access to the new Bing search with Chat GPT, did you know that you can put Chat GPT on your desktop as a web app? Let me show you how that's done. Start by going to bing.com, and it's easiest if you do this in the Edge browser. And once this opens up, select Chat. Once this is open, click on the three-dot menu, select Apps, and then install this site as an app. Bing AI Search, no, let's call this Chat GPT. Now let's minimize this. The app's, as you can see, the app's been installed, and I have several choices. I can pin it to the taskbar. I can pin it to the start. I can create a desktop shortcut, and I can also have this thing start automatically when I log into my device. What I will do is pin it to the taskbar and pin it to the start. Select Allow. I'll close this out. Now, let me close this. I had selected to pin this to the taskbar. And if you look at the taskbar, this new icon, and as I said, I called this Chat GPT. So if we now select that new Chat GPT that we've pinned to the taskbar, you'll notice it's now opening up as a web app right on your desktop. And this would be the same as if you went to ChatGPT's OpenAI website. This is exactly what you'll see when you get there. The advantage here is that you can also switch over to the Bing search with ChatGPT enabled in that Bing search. As I stated earlier, you must already have been accepted for this new feature from Bing. If not, you'll have to wait until you've been accepted once you've gotten onto the waiting list. But this is one way to get that feature directly on your desktop as a desktop app. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps.